Okay, I think we can get started whenever you're ready.
Fantastic. My eyes are actually tearing up because I'm so happy to see so many of those wonderful faces that I haven't seen in so long on campus. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Priscilla Berger, and I'm the chair of the Education Department at Regis. I'm also the director of our Masters in Special Ed, our Masters in Student Success, as well as a doctoral in Higher Education Leadership program. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual Education Connection reception. While we wish we could all be together in person, we are grateful to have this opportunity to connect virtually. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining. Before the speaking programs begin, I have a few housekeeping notes that Molly has made me promise to get done here. So we're going to ask that I let you know that this evening's program will be recorded. And also ask that everyone keep your microphones on mute during the speaking portion of the event. Following the program, we will break out into groups for discussions. And then later on in the program, I'll give you some information on the group settings. Like Regina, I had to write down some notes because I'd like to give you a few updates on where the education department is. About a year ago, we were together on campus for our first Education Connection event. And since then, we have continued to grow our programs. We are currently averaging about 130 students in education. Our newest programs is a Master's in Student Success, and it is now in its second year. And this is a program that prepares educators to work with students who experience challenges in learning. And it allows them to provide a positive experience and increase these students' chance for persistence. It's ideal for folks who want to be academic coaches. And while this program is fully online, and I see a few people on here that are in the program, just hot off the press today, we're actually going to be hosting a 3-part series of panelists in the spring. These will be individuals who will speak on disabilities and accessibility services, academic advising, and also career development, as we really want to develop our students into individuals who can help their students not only succeed in the classroom, but when they leave and go out into the workforce. We're very excited about all the good work that is happening in all of the education programs. I'm also pleased to announce that our EDD program this fall admitted 2 cohorts. That was very exciting for us. And I see several of our EDD folks on here, as well as the faculty. And we're currently working on a special project, which we hope to launch next summer, where we will have a cohort of individuals from CSJ institutions, our Sisters of St. Joseph. So again, it's all very exciting news, and I couldn't do it on my own. None of this is possible without the great faculty and staff that I get to call on every single day and who have never let me down. We have new faculty in the undergraduate program. Dr. Rebecca Putnam is our undergrad program director. And with her help, we've added Sean Reagan, who is our math instructor, as well as Andrew DeCuna, who is our literacy instructor. And both of these individuals bring with them some very strong experience from the K-12 sector. We also have a lovely young lady who has joined us in the special ed program, Ms. Ann Buckley, and she has been with us since summer. However, she was instrumental in helping us get placements for our student teachers that will be with us for spring. And in our doctoral program, we have Dr. Barbara Appold and Dr. Tashina Burnett as our newest instructors as well. Very exciting is that for the last 2 years or so, we have been developing academic partnerships. And you may have read about our partnership with Boston Public Schools, but we've also started a partnership with Lawrence Public Schools, and we're tightening up one with Framingham Public Schools as well. These partnerships are really intended to support the education of these districts' teachers and paraprofessionals. So if anyone is on this Zoom call today and your district is interested in having a partnership with us, please feel free to reach out. And we would love to work with you all as well. The last thing that I want to address as far as the Department of Education, and I feel it's very important, is that we have taken on addressing social empowerment. I know we all talk about social equality, but I love the term social empowerment, where we really empower people from diverse cultures, people from diverse races as they go into the workforce and into the field of education. And so we have added a culturally responsive teaching course to both our undergraduate program as well as our master's program. And I have to tell you, we have gotten some great feedback from our students as far as the information that they're learning, things that they never thought about. And it really fills my heart to know that we're able to do this. We're currently working on developing a course for our doctorate program as well. In the education department, we really feel we have to take on this topic, and it's our responsibility to be active in this movement and help develop our students. We want our students from Regis College to be change makers. So I know I've chatted on, but there's so much going on in education. I wanted to make sure you heard it all. If I did miss anybody, I apologize, but it is my pleasure right now to introduce to you Regis's 10th president, Dr. Tony Hayes.
Okay, unmute myself. Hello, everybody, and thanks, Priscilla. That was a great update. And I have to say that her leadership has been just incredible to see how she's transformed the education program over the last 3 to 4 years. So thanks, Priscilla. Good evening, everyone. It's so wonderful to be with you tonight. And as Priscilla said, I wish we were here together on campus. It certainly feels different behind our computer screens. This special event has become a lovely tradition over the last years, and I'm so grateful to see such a big group of education alums coming together this year despite our inability to be together in person. And I look forward to when we can once again gather on campus for wine and cheese and conversation. But until then, thank you for staying connected with us and with each other. And I know how many of you continue to also be supporters and preceptors for our student teachers. It has truly been a challenging year across the board. I hope that amid the unrest and difficult circumstances, though, that you and your families and loved ones are safe and healthy. Regis has endured challenges this year, just like everyone else. Seeing our students and their families struggle in myriad ways is really tough. I'm sure as educators, you can relate. Many of the stories are heartwarming, but they also are heartbreaking. We continue to do everything we can to help them through. Scholarships and financial aid have been critical. And the Emergency Assistance Fund that we established back in March also proved to be crucial in funding many of the students that we have, and to ensure the campus stays safe for all. Thank you. Right now, we only have about 70 students living on campus, but our testing protocol and safety measures this semester have been very successful. We've performed over 3,000 COVID tests and have only had 3 positives. So we're very happy about that. And in January, we plan to repopulate with additional students. We expect to bring on 400 new students to the campus under the same safety measures and testing protocols. We will ensure that all residential students continue to have single rooms in the residence halls, which we believe is necessary for public health reasons and to make sure that we can provide effective social distancing. There's certainly no roadmap helping us navigate this situation. As educators, I'm sure you are all experiencing the trials and tribulations that this virus has presented. Whether it's higher education, K through 12, or preschool, these are unprecedented circumstances, and teachers and administrators are really on the front lines, experiencing it firsthand. I know that just like all of us at Regis, your students are your very top priority. Everything we do, every decision we make is through the lens of the student and what is best for them. And I'm sure that you can all relate when I say we don't always know the right answer, but we sure are trying to do our absolute best. I salute you for your great work as educators. Every day, but especially in times like these, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for putting your own health and your own well-being on the line to be there for your students. As we continue to navigate this situation, I also want to thank you for your support. Our alumni community coming together, supporting Regis, staying connected is so important for the well-being of the Regis community as a whole. And tonight, I am so pleased that we can celebrate a distinguished member of our community, Regina Caines. This recognition is certainly well-deserved. Regina, you are an incredible woman, and we are so very proud of your accomplishments and all the contributions that you have made throughout your career. And also to Regis, as a former trustee and longtime member of our Alumni Council. You've been an inspiration to me personally as well, Regina, and I'm grateful for that. With that, I'd like to hand it back over to Priscilla to formally present the inaugural Regina Caines Distinguished Educator Award. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Hayes. I now have the distinct pleasure of awarding the inaugural Distinguished Educator Award, named in honor of Regina Caines, class of 1954. Regina Caines studied chemistry as a member of the class of 1984. As Regis's first Fulbright scholar, she spent a year at Heidelberg University in Germany, where all of her chemistry classes were taught in German. She then went on to earn a master's in chemistry at Tufts University. Regina's incredibly impressive career includes several roles dedicated to ensuring affirmative action and equal opportunity employment at places like MIT, the Polaroid Corporation, and Cambridge Public Schools. She also worked at Raytheon, where she conducted analytical research regarding the carcinogenic effects of cigarette smoking. After retiring from Polaroid, she received her law degree from Massachusetts School of Law at 60 years old. Such a show off, Regina. Currently, Regina is the executive director at Massachusetts Partnership for Diversity in Education, an organization that recruits and assists in producing career opportunities for educators and administrators from diverse backgrounds. And it also forms collaborative relationships that enhance staff diversity within school districts. As President Hayes mentioned, she's a former Regis trustee and a lifelong member of the Regis College Alumni Council. It is my pleasure to present Regina with this inaugural Distinguished Educator Award. This award will continue to be presented annually to an honoree who has made outstanding contributions to and achieved excellence in the field of education. Please join me in congratulating Regina for this distinct honor.
Thank you so very much, Priscilla. I'm so truly honored and overwhelmed by this tribute. This is far beyond anything I could have expected. To have a legacy award established here at my alma mater, my name, is something unimaginable. When Priscilla surprisingly announced this to the MPDE conference that was held here in February, I was floored. It actually didn't sink in, and I had to call a colleague when I left to find out what exactly had I been awarded. It was so completely unbelievable. As I expressed to Molly recently, Regis is a fiber embedded in the fabric of my life. My parents' decision to send me to parochial school is where it all began. From first grade at St. Francis de Sales School in Roxbury to Cathedral High and on ultimately to Regis College, I have been educated in my formal education has been completely and totally under the hands of the Sisters of St. Joseph. My good fortune to have been in the right place at the right time, and with the undying support of my mother and academic preparation by the sisters, I was selected as the second recipient of the Caroline J. Putlett full four-year scholarship to Regis College. Following my graduation, a dear friend of me is in attendance here whose cousin was the first Carolyn J. Putnam Scholarship winner. I had already met Sister Jeanne d'Arc, a former president of Regis College, in my freshman year. She was my general science teacher. I had always been fascinated with chemistry as a child and did lots of messy experiments in my bathroom, the only place my mother would allow me, with encouragement, to try out my experiments. Sister Jeanne d'Arc exposed me to the first real science I had ever experienced, and I was hooked. It is ironic that I was a chemistry major here at Regis and am now receiving this auspicious award as an educator. However, not too strange, because actually, education has always been a close second interest, and it blossomed as I found opportunities to volunteer to teach and consult for internal employee training programs. As well, here at Regis, I also received a certification to teach in Boston because I had had so many liberal arts courses. During a brief interlude as a stay-at-home mother, I volunteered to substitute teach and also found community and service group activity where I could offer my knowledge of chemistry and math to tutor and mentor students and adults. My present connection to the involvement in education evolved from activities spurred way back to my early corporate life. I began my first jobs shortly before the Civil Rights Act of 1964, so grew up in the business world of companies struggling to adjust to the demands of employees of color and women to gain equal access and advancement. Affirmative action practices and policies were new, and I found areas within the boundaries of my job to engage in training programs and consulting supports to my employers. My eventual selection as the affirmative action director for Polaroid, and then after law school for the Cambridge School Department, and subsequently MIT, sealed my identity and direction from then on. That is, toward efforts to promote and support fair and equal practices and the establishment of racial diversity of educators in schools, public and higher education. In my retirement, although semi, since I actively participate in a number of community service and social justice related organizations, and in most cases, educationally focused, as an example, I presently serve as already mentioned, as the executive director of the Massachusetts Partnership for Diversity in Education. At last count, MPDE numbered 32 districts, all focused on increasing the racial and ethnic diversity of teachers and administrators in their districts, and additionally, creating inclusive environments to support retention. During this time of the pandemic, there is extreme pressure on school districts to uphold their commitment to educate all children equally and equitably to the extent of their ability and resources. The range of resources of schools and families they serve is stretched over a wide spectrum dependent on the economic resources of the towns and the families within. I have read of many adjustments and preparations made here at Regis to create a normalcy and environment for students and professors to continue to teach, learning, and during this teach and learning during this stressful time. And I take my hat off to you. Regis is to be commended on the significantly high population of non-white students representing a wide range of race and culture here on this campus. When I was a student here at Regis, I was the only American Black student in my class. My only other non-white classmates were my dear classmates Hilda from Liberia, West Africa, and Clara from Puerto Rico. Regis has come a long way in diversifying the college, and my hope is that among many of these students, female and male alike, there is a large number whose vocation is education, or can be recruited and counseled by the education department to consider education. They are sorely needed. I have learned that Regis has agreed to partner with Lexington Public School to promote teacher training certification courses to adult members of color selected from the district. This will establish a short-term pipeline to increase the population of teachers of color in the district. This is an MPDE district, Lexington, and just the beginning of a pipeline initiative that MPDE is developing with all of its 32 member districts. And I hope Regis will continue to be a part of that process. That you are, and that this effort is very special to you is very gratifying to me. I would like to close by again expressing how humbled and pleased I am by this unbelievable tribute you have bestowed on me today. I plan to continue to remain as close to Regis as possible, and I must admit that remote engagements have made this ever so much easier in recent times, and I hope even beyond COVID. I want to thank you so much, and I'd like to just hold up this beautiful plaque that was given to me today, and a beautiful bouquet of flowers. And this says Regina Caines, Distinguished Educator Award. Regina Seals Caines, 54, Regis College, Education Department, 2020. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Regina.
You're very welcome.
You gotta hear the applause.
Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Regina. Before we raise our glasses to toast you, please note we will be hosting another education event with alumni and current students on Monday, January 25th, 2021. More information to follow, but please save the date. Now, please join me in raising your glass as I propose a toast. A toast to education. I borrowed a few lines from Paula and Polly Davis, who said it best. Here's to education for today. That is not preparation, but life itself. Here's to education that fulfills our lives in the present, that leaves us feeling curious, loved, frustrated, and exhausted. To education that makes us ask more questions, shows us how to learn and how satisfying learning is. Here's to students guiding their own learning. Here's to granting them that right, that power, showing them they matter. Here's to knowing we'll all have gaps. Here's to education that inspires a love of learning. Here's to accepting that it depends, that each student learns differently, that each teacher learns differently, that each day could go differently. Here's to pushing each child to be their best. Here's to eschewing the idea of competition as an educational driver. Here's to true cooperation. Here's to true community. Here's to acknowledging that these values are as important to learning as anything else. And to each of you, educational leaders like Regina, here's to each of you for the work you do each day to assist the students of today, the leaders of tomorrow, to bringing education to life. Cheers.